Hello, and welcome back to 20th Century Dude. I know this has been an overdue video. I've been wanting to do this for the past month or two or so at this point, but thankfully now I can finally talk to you about HD DVD, a format that I now finally have in my collection. So I guess for starters, in my sort of affiliation with this format, I've been, of course, interested in all these older and sometimes dead formats since, I guess, pre-pandemic at this point. And, of course, the HD DVD was one of the ones on my list that I was aiming to get at some point. Of course, I had reacquired some VHS tapes. I had gotten a hold of Betamax, Laserdisc, and CED. I even have one video CD as well. And of course, one of the ones that I was hoping to pursue is the HD DVD, which I now finally have in my collection. Now, as I mentioned before, the making of this video has been sort of a delay. I kind of wanted to do this, again, a month or two ago, but of course, for time reasons, I'm just now getting around to filming it. Of course, I'm also using my brand new 4K camera, which I hope isn't a money pit, which thankfully it isn't, because I think it works really, 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 really spectacular, and I am very impressed with the results so far in the few weeks that I have now had it. So now we can at least say, now I can have the HD DVD video done, but we can also have it done with the new 4K camera. So I guess I'll start off by showing you off the brief list of movies that I do have in my collection now that I've added a few. And within, I think this is the first bundle I got, we have The Breakfast Club, that I hope you all can see. And this was in a bundle of, I think, 4 or 5 movies that came with the initial player I got, and I'll show you here in just a minute. And surprisingly, it was at a very reasonable price. Didn't go above, I think, $50 to $60, and the shipping was free. And of course, I like the movie selections as well. And this just happened to be one of the movies. So I guess The Breakfast Club now is in 3 different formats that I can watch. Another one of those bundles was Top Gun, which again is one of those formats I now have 3 in. We have HD DVD here. I already had it on regular DVD as well as the Laserdisc. So we got quite a variety to choose from. And this was also in the initial bundle. I'm also going to be one of the few people that say I actually do like Maverick more. It's one of the few times I think that I like the new thing better than the old thing. But I would say about 99% of the time, yeah, the old thing is better. But I don't know, maybe I just get more out of Top Gun Maverick. Maybe it was the theatrical experience I had watching it back in the summer of 2022. Whereas any other time I would have watched the first Top Gun, it would have been just living room or my bedroom at home. So, yeah, I don't know. But still pretty good, you know. I think that's nice for Maverick. You have the companion piece to an 80s classic. So, there's that. And additionally, in a bundle, and I actually have 2 of these, but I'm only going to show one, we have Michael Bay's Transformers. The first one, anyway. I think that it started out decently, I think, but it definitely, the sequels definitely were not up to par, especially the even-numbered ones, and especially the ones with, the 2 that Mark Wahlberg were in, they just were not good. Dark in the Moon, I sort of kind of watch half of, because half of it's only semi-decent, and that's basically anything that has nothing to do with the human characters. It's like the first 5 minutes of the movie with the NASA stuff, and pretty much the final battle and kind of whatnot, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, But like I said, I actually do have 2 of these. I only really need 1. And this is on eBay with another movie, which I'll get to in a moment. So please, if you do find Transformers and another movie on eBay, it's most likely mine. Please buy it, because I don't need 2 copies. And I'm sure somebody else would probably be looking for one. And speaking of the movie that I also have 2 copies of, we have the 2005 video game movie, Doom. Not sure how many of you remember this movie. Probably forgotten at this point, I don't know. I know looking at it, I kind of assumed it was based on the video game, which honestly I know very little about. And it was. It also says it's the unrated version. I'll probably turn upside down. There we go. It's the unrated version, which I don't know what the regular version looks like. Not like I'm in a super big hurry to hunt it down. It was just kind of a movie. Again, hence why I don't really need 2 copies of the thing. I think I only just got 2 copies of it because another bundle I had just happened to include it. But oh well, I guess. So, hey, I got these movies on HD DVD, on eBay. Please go buy them. Please go buy them. Because I don't want 2 copies. And up next we have The Frighteners, which is one of Peter Jackson's first movies. I'm actually using it as sort of the sort of a background piece for this video, sort of the demonstration, if you will. I actually just got around to watching it on the day of recording this video, and yes, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend. The Frighteners. Maybe not as good as his Lord of the Rings movies, but I did like it more than King Kong, because I'm a little mixed on that film. And I'd say I enjoyed it more than Peter Jackson's Get Back documentary he did a couple years ago. Not to say that that wasn't good, but I think, I don't know, I found this to be more of an enjoyable watch. But yeah, it's I think a pretty good start to his career. And up next we have The Big Lebowski, which as of a couple weeks ago, I also finally got around to watching, and I would say for the most part, I kind of liked it. Maybe not my favorite thing I've ever seen, but I will probably be watching it again at some point. I believe this was also, it was written by both of the Coen brothers, but I believe that, it says it's only directed by Joel Coen. So I don't know if Ethan Coen wanted to do this movie or not. I don't know. I don't exactly know what all the behind the scenes behind The Big Lebowski are, but hey, if you've never seen it, and I guess if you want to know my full opinion of the movie, just ask in the comments below. And up next we have The Italian Job. And again, like Top Gun, this is going to be one of the few times where the new thing is better than the old thing, or I think so anyway. There's a movie in the 60s with Michael Caine. I wasn't honestly the biggest fan of that movie. It was just kind of, again, this one I definitely got more out of. I feel like I had a more joyful experience watching this movie. And I would say, especially for this disc alone, the quality is just excellent. For those of you who don't know, the HD DVD came out at about the time, I want to say, it was a few months before Blu-ray hit the markets. And they both competed as a way to try to, supersede DVD as the HD format. And of course, Blu-ray ultimately won a couple years later because more studios ended up backing it, even though technically it was actually more costly to make. So if you're the HD DVD person and you thought this was going to be the foreseeable future, well, sorry, unfortunately it wasn't. And up next we have Darkman, which as of last week I've also finally got around to watching. It's definitely got plenty of that Sam Raimi quirkiness that you would later see in his Spider-Man movies. I think there's some direct-to-video sequels too, but they look kind of boring, so I don't know if I'm going to be in such a hurry to watch those. I don't even think they have Liam Neeson in it as Darkman. So there's the disc. I don't know if my parents were so impressed by this movie. I think they were both kind of weirded out, and Mom was a little bit creeped out by why Liam Neeson looked the way he did in that movie. I feel like she kind of liked him back in the day, and then see him like this, she kind of found it icky. So I don't know. They weren't impressed. I mean, I liked it, but they weren't impressed. And I don't know what it is with Danny Elfman, if maybe some of his scores just sound the same. But it definitely sounds very familiar to Batman, the score, and there are definitely some beats in there that the Spider-Man score would later pick up on. So already it just feels very familiar soundtrack-wise. And up next we have a documentary, Planet Earth. I don't know if any of you remember this at all. My introduction to this was 7th grade science class. We watched a few, but not all of these. Of course, not on HD DVD anyway, because nobody there would have had anything to play it with. And for the most part, quality-wise, it looks pretty fantastic in HD. If there's a 4K of Planet Earth, I would very much love to pick it up, because this is a series that I think would definitely be in need of 4K. Unfortunately, I can only play about 2/3 worth of it. I feel like the copy I have here, somebody didn't take very good care of it, I think, because there's usually about 3 episodes, or 3 biomes, so to speak, in one disc. And I know the one, I can only play one of the 3 episodes. And one of the discs also has 2 episodes, but I can only play the one with the one in the deep sea, because the other episodes it won't play. I don't know. And the bottom of the disc too, they do look very dirty. So I feel like this is kind of a lesson in I don't know. Please take care of your physical media. Please take care of your stuff. Because I'd like to watch it when I buy it, but I can't do it if it's in poor condition. So be very careful, and if you know something's broken, please don't sell it. Next we have some DC. We have Batman Begins, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the only Chris Bale one you're going to find on this format, being that The Dark Knight would have came out after this format would have died. And this is actually the second copy I got. This was a graduation present that I ended up getting, because the first batch of DC stuff that I got ended up not working in the player. Apparently there's a thing, and we're going to be going on the rabbit trail here, there's a thing called Warner Rot, which I don't know if any of you who have HD DVD is familiar with, but Warner Rot, it's like a disc rot that for some reason seems to occupy a lot of Warner Brothers HD DVD discs, to the point where I read on an old forum somewhere, somebody actually thought that this was actually deliberate corporate sabotage so they can get the Blu-ray to win. I don't think that's going to be ever proven. That might be more subjective. It could add extra layers. I don't know. Maybe it was corporate sabotage. I don't know. But why one company? I don't know. Because I do I have read a bunch of places also as well. I've seen plenty of Reddits, people asking why their Warner Brothers HD DVDs don't work. Yeah, there was a person who posted a picture of literally hundreds of movies in a box. And he said, of these hundreds of movies, 20 work, and the other 300 and some that don't, Warner. So I don't know. And this is also something I now own a second copy of due to Warner rot. Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. And this has had a pretty lengthy history as well. We're not going to get into that behind-the-scenes drama, but yeah. This is like the one copy of this specific cut that I own. Honestly, I'd say I've always been more... I know Superman the movie is usually the more beloved one in the Christopher Reeve series, and for good reason, too. I've always just been more of a Superman 2 kind of guy. Maybe it's just me and my personal tastes, I don't know. But I've always been more of Superman 2. Superman 2's more up to my speed. Maybe I just like the story more, I don't know. But that's also my second copy because, again, the first one didn't work. The player would not play it. And here we're going to have maybe still a very divisive movie. We have Superman Returns. This, of course, seems to have gotten better reception now than when it did back in the day. I think Brandon Routh also returned for some CW show or something that I didn't watch. And this is actually one of those weird HD DVDs where it's like a combo. It's like side 1 is the HD DVD itself, but side 2 is a regular DVD. Somehow they pulled it off. I've not seen anything like that for Blu-ray. So maybe it's just a one-time deal or something. I don't know. But this is also something I also got as a graduation present with my Batman HD DVD. I think for Superman Returns, for me, it's nowhere near my favorite, but it's not the worst. This was actually criticized back then for being too dark for a Superman movie, which I find kind of ironic because then how many years later we get Man of Steel, and I feel like that one's probably much worse off. It's definitely a much worse movie, and it's definitely a much darker movie than Superman Returns. This somehow is so much lighter in comparison. It's pretty hilarious, actually. And last but not least, and unfortunately I have not watched this movie because, again, Warner rot, and I can't watch it, Swordfish. Again, I'm not sure how many of you people are familiar with this movie at all. Maybe you've never heard of it. Of course, I've never heard of it until, again, I got it in a little bundle. It's like, alright, whatever. But unfortunately, I can't play the movie because Warner rot. I even went to a friend's house, and even had one of those players that, like, connected up to the Xbox 360, because that was a thing once. And even in his player, he could not play the disc whatsoever. So even in two different players, it won't play in. So I know this one is, unfortunately, a victim to laser rot, and if you've seen it before, and if it's worth watching, again, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I don't know, because I can't watch the movie. Alright, so earlier I mentioned about the fact about how many of the Warner Brothers discs were affected by something called the infamous Warner rot. And honestly, I'm going to demonstrate that to you right now by putting in my copy of Swordfish, and you'll basically be able to tell how very little it works. So we have the disc loading into the player, and usually it would be theoretically at this point where the player would recognize if it's a DVD or an HD DVD and whatnot, and it would then go forward and start playing all, the FBI titles and stuff like that, what we're usually accustomed with. Problem is, just keeps loading and loading and loading. It just doesn't know what to do with it at all. So it does make me wonder, because of the Warner rot, was there information on these discs to begin with? But it's just encoded badly that the player can't read it? Or is it blank and the player can't read it because there is no information on the disc? I would like to believe that there is actually information on the disc, but it's not encoded right. I don't know. But it definitely is a tricky one. It's like you put it in two separate HD DVD players, different years and different parts and circumstances and whatnot, and yet neither one can play this disc. So at this point, I'm going to assume that Swordfish is going to be nothing more than a paperweight or maybe some kind of, I don't even know if I'd use it as a demonstration disc, because again, we don't have anything going on. It can't pick up any information whatsoever, because this player is just struggling to read anything. Yep, see? Just zoom in here. Failed to verify the content, so the playback is stopped. Pretty typical for Laser Rod. But at least I don't have to worry about that doing it to my Superman 2 and my Batman Begins discs anymore. Those old copies were thrown out. I don't know, maybe if I put this in the player so many times I'll eventually read it, but I doubt it. How unfortunate. Oh yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the HD DVD stuff that I own. Maybe in the near future I do hope to have some more stuff acquired in my collection, but I think for now I'm pretty happy with what I have. Of course, I learned some things along the way, especially about Warner rot, which hopefully I won't have to encounter again, or maybe I'll just have to look extra careful and make sure that I don't get any discs associated with Warner Brothers, because I don't really want to have to take that risk. So otherwise, I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and see ya.